After Mom died, I took guardianship of my little brother. I helped him graduate, get a job, even bought him a used car. This week, he got engaged. I wasn't invited. When I asked why, he said, "She doesn't like how close we are. You're not coming." I stayed quiet until I saw the prenup draft on his desk, signed by her, with a clause that made everything I gave him. I'm 34. My younger brother, Eli, just turned 24. We're 10 years apart. When our mom died 6 years ago, I became his legal guardian. I had just turned 28, working full-time, barely making rent in a 2-bedroom apartment in Tacoma, Washington. Mom had cancer. Fast. Aggressive. Gone in 4 months. Eli was 18, a senior in high school. Our dad walked out when I was 13, so there was no one else. I moved him in with me. He had a little corner in my living room with a mattress and a cheap bookshelf I found at Goodwill. I did my best. I made sure he graduated. I paid for his cap and gown. I helped him apply to jobs. I'd wake up early to drop him off at work and go straight to my job after. When he wanted to go to community college, I co-signed the loans. I cooked, paid the bills, and whenever he needed something, glasses, dental work, gas money, I just covered it. I didn't even think twice. 2 years ago, I helped him buy a used Honda Civic. Nothing fancy, but it was clean, reliable. I put down the deposit and paid the insurance for the first 6 months so he could get on his feet. I never asked for anything back. Then he met her. Her name is Natalie. They met at work. She's a few years older, 28, maybe 29. I only met her twice. Once at a restaurant when they were just dating, and another time when I invited them over for Thanksgiving. She didn't talk much. Kept looking at her phone. I tried to be friendly. Over the last year, I started seeing Eli less and less. He stopped calling, stopped texting back. Every time I invited him over, he had an excuse. Too tired. Working. Something came up. I noticed he stopped mentioning me online. Like I didn't exist. Last week, I found out from a mutual friend that Eli got engaged. No call. No invite. No text. Nothing. I waited a few days. Then I called him. I said, "Hey, heard you're getting married. Congratulations." He hesitated, then said, "Yeah, thanks." I asked, "Are you having a party or something? Should I make travel plans?" He was quiet. Then he said it. "She doesn't like how close we are." I said, "What?" "She thinks it's weird. She's not comfortable with it. You're not coming." I felt like I couldn't breathe. I asked, "Are you serious?" He just said, "It's her decision." I didn't argue. I hung up. I cried that night. Not just because I wasn't invited, but because he sounded like a stranger. Like I was just some girl he used to know. Then this week, I dropped by his place to return a box of old stuff, photos, some of Mom's things he left behind when he moved out. He wasn't home, but I had the spare key. I didn't plan to snoop, but something on his desk caught my eye. It was a prenup. Printed out, pages clipped together. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. On the 3rd page, there was a clause. A long paragraph in legal talk, but I read it twice to be sure. It basically said that any asset or item acquired through familial support or assistance prior to the marriage would be considered a gift and non-claimable in case of dissolution. In short, it said everything I gave him, everything I helped him build, had no weight, no protection, no acknowledgement, just a gift. Like I was a stranger handing him a check one day. No history, no sacrifice, no shared life. I sat on his couch and stared at that clause for 20 minutes. That's when I realized he really meant it. I'm not his sister anymore. I'm just someone his fiancée thinks is too close. Someone he's willing to erase. And he's letting her do it. I left the prenup right where I found it and walked out of his apartment. I didn't slam the door. I didn't send a dramatic text. I just drove home and sat in silence. My phone stayed quiet all week. No thank you for dropping off the box. No, hey, did you stop by? Nothing. 3 days later, I got a message. From Natalie. Not a call. Just a short, Cold text. Hey, just a heads up. Please don't stop by unannounced anymore. We're trying to set boundaries. That's all it said.
No.
No, thanks.
No signature.
Just a demand. I didn't reply. A few days after that, my aunt called me. She was confused. Said she just got an invite to Eli and Natalie's engagement dinner. A small thing at some trendy little restaurant in Seattle. Close family only. She asked if I was going too. I told her I wasn't invited. She went quiet for a second. Then she just said, "Oh, that's strange." I wanted to scream, but I just told her I hoped she had a good time. 2 nights later, I got a call from my cousin Sam. He's always been close to both of us. He sounded upset. "Hey, I don't want to get in the middle," he said, "but something weird happened tonight." Apparently, during dinner, someone asked Eli if he was nervous about marriage. Just joking around. Eli said something like, "Not really." Natalie made sure everything's locked down. She's smart about that stuff. Sam said he laughed at first. Then Eli added, "We even had to include some language to make sure certain gifts don't come with emotional baggage." Everyone at the table kind of paused. Sam looked at him and asked, "Are you talking about your sister?" Eli just shrugged. "She doesn't understand boundaries. It's better this way." I felt sick when Sam told me that. I had to hang up. I didn't sleep that night. I kept hearing those words. Emotional baggage. She doesn't understand boundaries. Like I was some clingy ex, not the person who raised him. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I logged into the old email we used for bills when he lived with me. Most of it was junk now, ads, spam, expired subscriptions. But I found something strange. There was an email from a loan company. The subject line was, "Final payment confirmation, joint account closed." It was dated 2 weeks ago. I opened it. It was for the car loan, the one I co-signed. He'd paid it off, closed the account, and without telling me, removed my name. I wasn't mad that he paid it off. I was mad that he kept me in the dark. Like my name being on it was some kind of burden he had to wipe clean. Like he was preparing to erase every trace of me before walking down that aisle. I sat there, staring at the screen, and a question hit me. How far is she pushing this? So, I did something I shouldn't have. I called the community college he used to attend. Pretended to be him. Asked if I could get a copy of his old tuition records for personal finance records. They emailed them. And that's when I saw it. Every semester, it was my name on the payment line. My card. My bank account. But in the new address line on his most recent employment paperwork, he had listed Natalie as his emergency contact. Not me. Not even a backup. I hadn't been replaced. I'd been removed. A week later, my landlord handed me a certified letter. At first, I thought it was about rent, but when I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was from a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. Natalie's uncle, apparently. A formal cease and desist. It claimed I'd accessed Eli's private financial information without consent and was harassing the couple by contacting family members to sow discord. They wanted me to sign a non-contact agreement.
No visits.
No calls.
No texts. No emails.
No attempts to contact Eli, Natalie, or any affiliated individuals. If I didn't sign, they threatened to pursue legal action. I stared at the letter for a long time. I hadn't called Eli once since that day on the phone. I hadn't contacted Natalie, or shown up at their place again. All I did was talk to family and check an email account that still had my name on it. But now I was being painted like some obsessed stalker. I didn't sign it. I called a lawyer friend of mine instead. He told me it wasn't enforceable, not without proof of harassment, which they didn't have. He told me not to worry. But I did. Because the damage wasn't legal. It was personal. That same night, my aunt, yes, the same one who called about the engagement dinner, unfriended me on Facebook. Then my cousin's wife. Then 2 other relatives I barely talked to. It was like someone had flipped a switch. Like I'd suddenly been branded crazy and no one wanted to touch it. The next morning, I checked my mailbox and found another envelope. No return address. Just my name. Inside was a handwritten note. It said, "You raised him like he was your son. But he's not your son. You need help. Let go." No name.
No signature.
Just those words. And taped to the bottom of the note, a photo of Eli and Natalie,
Smiling.
holding a sign that said, "Save the date." It wasn't a wedding invite. It was a warning. I sat on my porch, staring at it. For the first time in years, I felt like I didn't recognize the world I was living in. Like I had slipped out of one life and into another, where none of the people I loved even remembered who I was. And then the final blow. A neighbor texted me that afternoon, someone I hadn't seen in a while. She said she'd run into Eli at a grocery store. "I told him I miss seeing you two together," she wrote. "He said you two had a falling out, that you were trying to manipulate him with money." She ended the message with, "I hope you're okay." But I wasn't, because I hadn't just lost a brother. I'd lost my name, my story, everything I thought we shared. And he was letting it happen.
Piece by piece.
A few nights after that, I was at the grocery store, just trying to get out of the house, clear my head. I turned into the cereal aisle, and there they were. Eli and Natalie. He looked thinner than I remembered. She looked the same, cold, like a locked door. We made eye contact. I froze. He blinked, then looked down like he hadn't seen me. Natalie grabbed his arm, whispered something, and they turned their cart around and walked away. I didn't move. Not until they were gone. But I did something I hadn't planned. I followed them. Not in a creepy way, I just wanted to hear something. Anything. I stayed a few aisles behind, just close enough to pick up scraps of their conversation. They stopped by the frozen foods, arguing. Natalie said, "She's not going to stop. I told you this would happen." Eli said, "She's not dangerous. She's just hurt." Natalie snapped, "She's unstable. What else do you need to see?" He didn't respond right away. Then he said something that hit me like a punch to the chest. "Maybe we should just move. Start fresh. Away from all this." Natalie didn't argue. She just said, "Good." That was it. That was the plan now. Leave. Cut me off completely. I left the store without buying anything. That night, I pulled out an old box from under my bed. Inside were all the things he'd given me as a kid, drawings, little notes, school photos, a letter he wrote when he was 12 after I helped him through a panic attack. I flipped through them, trying to find a reason for all this. Some hint. Some moment I missed. And then I saw it, tucked in the back, half bent from the weight of everything else. A birthday card from 2 years ago. His handwriting. "I know I don't say it enough, but I wouldn't be here without you. You gave up your life for me. I'll never forget it." But he had. Completely. A few days later, I got another call from my cousin Sam. He said, "You should know, Natalie's pregnant." I didn't say anything. He continued, "They're having a private ceremony next week. Not a big wedding anymore. Just courthouse, then dinner." Then he hesitated. Eli asked me to be his witness. I said, "You should go." Sam paused. He said something else too. He said once the baby's born, they're going to fully separate from old patterns. I don't know what that means, but he sounded serious. I knew what it meant. It meant I was done. Cut out.
Erased.
The baby would grow up without ever knowing I existed. Without knowing that I raised their father. Without knowing I once sat up every night wondering how to keep the lights on for him. I used to think blood meant something. But apparently, to some people it's just something you outgrow. Like a coat that doesn't fit anymore. And then last night, something happened I can't explain. I got an alert on my phone, an account transfer. It was for a savings account I didn't recognize. One I'd opened under his name years ago when I was trying to build him a little emergency fund. I forgot it even existed. But apparently he didn't. He emptied it. Every dollar I had quietly put aside for him gone. No message. No thank you.
No goodbye.
Just a clean, silent withdrawal. I used to think one day he'd come back around, maybe when things settled, maybe when he had kids of his own. But now I'm just standing here, staring at an empty account, a blocked number, and a silence that feels permanent. And the worst part is, none of this feels like a fight. It just feels like he left, and somehow, I never noticed the exact moment he stopped seeing me as family.